Good afternoon, and welcome to St. Barnabas Transgender Day of Remembrance celebration of those who have been alive and dead. I would like to read a press statement by Anthony Lincoln, our Secretary of State, who writes, "On Transgender Day of Remembrance, the world pauses to remember the lives of the many transgendered, non-binary, and gender non-conforming persons killed in acts of targeted transphobic violence. On every continent, transgendered, non-binary, and gender non-conforming persons confront violence, harassment, and discrimination that shock the conscience, simply based on the gender identity or expression. For far too many, their own governments contribute to this stigma by denying access to justice, health, economic self-sufficiency, and community that are the hallmarks of inclusiveness and prosperous societies. We recognize Transgender Day of Remembrance because transgender persons are disproportionately represented among victims of violence around the world. There are ample ways to prevent discrimination and violence against transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming persons, beginning by recognizing their basic humanity and affirming their human rights. In addition, where trans persons are victims of violence and even homicide, it is essential that attacks be investigated, that the perpetrators be brought to justice, and that investigators and media correctly gender the victim and investigate the attack as a possible hate crime. Advancing gender equality and equality advances safety, security, and prosperity for all. Transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming persons have always been a part of our families, cultures, and nations. History teaches us that gender diversity is not new, and that the strongest societies celebrate the intellectual and cultural contributions and creativity that comes from diversity. As we mourn the transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming persons who have paid the ultimate price for others' hatred, we honor their memory by continuing to fight for a world free of transphobic and gender-based violence and discrimination. Everyone should be able to live a life that reflects and celebrates the truest self." So let us stand and sing the opening hymn. We will sing verses 1, 2, and 4. Now is the darkness vanished away. See in this day.
seat. I'm Reverend Susan Gage. I'm the priest in charge here at St. Barnabas Episcopal Church. And I just welcome you to be here in our space, in our church, where we have a vision of health, healing, and hope with unconditional love. And we invite you to join with us in this service. A few housekeeping notes. If you need to use a restroom, they are conveniently located through that door, and immediately you'll see them. You can't miss them. And they are non-gendered, so pick whichever one you like best, left or right. We will have a reception afterwards, which is over in our parish hall. Again, you go through this door and then up the little ramp to our parish hall. And I just welcome you all to be here and be amongst us today. It's a somber ceremony, but as Sarah was saying, what we will be doing is we will be lighting candles for the names of all of the people that we lost this year. And the beauty of this is that it's a light that was their light that was taken from them, and we are putting it back on. So I welcome you and thank you for being here.
How long, oh God, how long will transgender people suffer shame and loss because of who we are? How long must we bear pain in our souls and have sorrow in our hearts all day long? How long shall we have enemies who persecute us, ridicule us, and gloat over us?
Why do you stand far off, hiding yourself in time of trouble, and fear the violent attack the vulnerable? Let them be caught in the schemes their hearts have devised. In confusion and disturbance, the oppressors say.
There is no God who cares for the meek. No God will find none. Their mouths are filled with cursing and deceit and oppression. They sit in ambush. In stealth they murder the innocent. The helpless fall by the night.
Remembrance and litany.
We praise you, Holy One, for the gift of life, precious, stubborn, fragile, and beautiful. We are grateful for the time we have upon the earth to love, to grow, to be.
We give thanks for the will to live and for our capacity to live fully all the days that we are given.
And for those who have been taken by the devastation and violence used against them, we remember them and claim the opportunity to build life of wholeness in their honor.
We give you thanks for the partners, friends, allies, and families who have been steadfast in their love, for the people who have devoted their life's work to the prevention of violence, support, and making transition from one gender to another possible with passion and commitment.
For the diligent science, brilliant ideas, and insights that have led to new, life-giving procedures. For those in leadership who have acted to provide health care for people who are in transition.
We give thanks for those whose prejudice and judgment have yielded to understanding, for those who have overcome fear, indifference, or burnout to embrace a life of caring and compassion.
We praise you, Eternal One, for those who have loved enough that their hearts have broken, who cherish the memories of those we have lost, and for those whose house would console the grieving.
God, grant us the love, courage, tenacity, and will to continue to make a difference in the world, even with the violence aimed toward our community.
Inspire us to challenge and stand strong against the forces that allow the needless harm and violence to continue. Prejudice, unjust laws, repression, stigma, and fear.
Into your care, we trust and lift up the hundreds of souls who have been tortured and murdered. We lift up to you our dreams of a world where we all care for, our dreams of wholeness, our dreams of a world where all are accepted and respected, a dream we know you share, standing against the headwind of hate.
Why are we different? Why have we refused to walk one of two paths, but instead demanded the right to blaze our own? The question is not why were we unwilling to conform, even when being beaten to the ground by ridicule and by brutality. The real burning question is, how did we ever find the courage? From what underground spring did we draw our pride? How did each of us make our way in life without a single familiar star in the night sky to guide us to this room where we have at last found others like ourselves? And after so much of ourselves has been injured or left behind as expendable ballast, many of us worry, what do we have left to give each other? Upon what basis will be built something lasting between us?
A prayer of suspended confession and commitment by Tamari Day. We rise each day into the world and it fits our names, our understanding, our assumptions. The clay of our bodies and faces conform to our spirit, male and female. We are learning it is not so for all of us. Some of us are born of a wilder imagination. We are learning new languages and new images. For though spirit is coloring outside our lives, transgender, intersex, gender variant, we confess that we have slumbered about members of our family are slaughtered. The headwind of hatred, battered bodies and minds and spirit, the diverse beauties that continue to arise. We commit to standing against this headwind of hate, a bulwark to our battery. We commit to seeing the diverse beauty all around us, every gender and gender-free expression, every form of love. We commit to living difference and becoming. We commit to learning a new language or languages that enable our beloveds to exist and thrive. Love. Give us bold to live our own lives fully and abundantly.
Love, give us passion to work for everyone's full abundance. Love, gather us together. The one you have created is not seen, is not allowed to live, is ever lost to the hurricane of hate ahead.
I now invite Brianna Gaskins to come forward and tell her story.
We love you, Bree.
So most of you know me as Brianna. For the ones that don't know me, my name is Brianna. I've been a part of Social Cry for a minute now. And I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for you guys. And I wanted to share a little bit of my life with you guys. So I'm going to reflect back to when I was little. When I was around like 3 or 4 was when I realized that I didn't feel myself in my body, if that makes sense to you guys. So it was more of like a, growing up in a religious household, I was always told, you have to marry a woman, you can't be with a man, it's a sin. So like, to fast forward a little bit, when I hit middle school, I came out as a gay man. And then I was like, okay, well, it's fine, I'm gay, my mom accepts me, that's all that matters. And then after middle school, I got in high school and I came out as trans my 9th grade year of high school. And it was easy, but it wasn't, if that makes sense. High school is high school, I thought high school was gonna be like middle school, I was gonna get bullied all throughout my high school year of high school, but I didn't. And then my 12th grade year, I had a friend that was trans, just like me. And she ended up committing suicide because she came to school one day and just wasn't herself. Being best friends with someone, I'm sure all of you can agree with me that if you're friends with someone, you can look at them, and tell if something's wrong. So I noticed that she wouldn't speak to none of us that day, so the next day I came to school is when we all realized that there was nothing that none of us could have done. So it was, hard not on just me, but my fellow classmates as well. So when we got out of school that night, we all, as the school all came together and was like, okay, well, we have to do something. So we did something, kind of like what we're doing now to remember her as, and I know that she would have wanted me to be up here for her. And my life isn't perfect by all means. I sin, I'm not an angel. Although sometimes I could be. Sometimes, people get the best of me and sometimes I'll lash out. But, my life isn't perfect. And being judged all those years by my dad and having it coached into my head that, you have to marry a woman, you cannot marry a man. I have a 6-year-old child now. I am engaged to my fiance that's in the military. And my mom and my stepdad accepts me. So yes, some of us may have different outcomes, but at the end of the day, as long as you have that group of people to support you, that is all that matters, because I've been in that dark hole where it's like, I have nobody. So it's like, why am I here? What is my answer? And I've asked God that before, And I was always told growing up never to ask God questions like that. Don't do it, it's not. So I did it and I was like, but why am I here though? What is my purpose of being here? And it took me, I'm 21 now, it took me 21 years to realize that I'm here for a reason. My purpose is to share not just my story, but to share my life with people, because I feel like if me sharing my story can help anyone based off race, religious, color, if my story can help someone, then that means I did my job at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Take a few more breaths. And you've done your job beautifully. Thank you for sharing. We are here today, this Transgender Day of Remembrance, to bear witness to the lives and legacies of our beloved comrades. We gather as an act of resistance to the violence that often plagues the lives of transgender people everywhere. We gather in community to hold each other's sorrow and to celebrate each other's hope. We gather in community tonight believing that every now and then, even in our moments of profound grief, that courage, human transformation, and social change are always possible. We gather to remember. We gather to speak the names of our loved ones, calling their names into this space as an act of memory, an act of solidarity, and as an act of commitment to carry their names in our hearts as we do the work of justice.
November 20th is set aside each year as the International Transgender Day of Remembrance. Started in 1998 by Gwendolyn Ann Smith, transgender activist, as a way to memorialize Rita Hester, who was violently murdered in Boston, Massachusetts.
God, full of mercy, bless the souls of all who are in our hearts on this Transgender Day of Remembrance. We pray for the strength to carry on the legacy of vision, bravery, love, and authenticity. And as we remember them and thousands more who have taken their own lives. We pray for resolve to root out the injustice, ignorance, and cruelty that grow despair. And we pray, God, that all who perpetuate hate and violence will speedily come to understand that your creation has many faces, many genders, many holy expressions. Blessed are they who have allowed the divine image to shine in the world. Blessed is God
in whom no light is extinguished.
So I now invite you to call the names in this community so that we might grieve together and remember together the pain of their terrible sacrifice. As we call their names, let us renew our commitment to social change, to making a world in which the human worth and dignity of every person is respected, protected, and honored. So as the names are called,
Can we invite everyone to light a candle for prayer?
yes. Would you come forward? Say your name, light a candle, put it.
Ma'am,
Pick one of these small candles, and she will light it for you. Place it. Remember the Lord. Ready? Yes. Thank you, Brianna. So I'll just remind you, I think there are 6 more names over on the table. If you don't have them, until the priest gets back. Just hang, okay. Tiffany Banks. Tiffany Banks.
A black trans woman who was killed in my Fort on October 1st. She was 25 years old.
If you find a candle that small, there's plenty of us. Samia Valencia.
Samaj Valencia. A black trans man was killed in Jacksonville, Florida on September 21st. He was 33 years old.
Maya Regina Allen.
Maya Regina Allen, a black trans woman, was killed in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on August 29th.
she was 35 years old.
Didi Ricks.
Didi Ricks, a black trans woman, was killed in Detroit, Michigan on August 27th. She was 33 years old.
A.C. Morrison. Did you give the name?
A.C. Morrison, a two-spirit Lakota, was killed in Rapid City, South Dakota on August 21st. She was 30 years old.
Aaron Lynch.
Aaron Lynch, a trans man, was killed in McLean, Virginia on July 7th. He was 26 years old.
Marissa Castro.
Marcella Castro, transgender Latina, was killed in Houston, Texas on July 29th. She was 39 years old.
Can you read?
Can you read? A black trans woman was killed in Kansas City, Missouri, on July 24th. She was 29 years old.
Hayden Davis.
Hayden Davis, a black trans woman, was killed in Detroit, Michigan on July 25th. She was 28 years old.
Cherry Bush.
Trans woman was killed in Los Angeles, California on July 5th. She was 48 years old and experiencing homelessness.
Teresa Chanel Leader.
Keisha Chanel Peter, a black trans woman, was killed in Augusta, Georgia, on July 20th. She was 26 years old.
Patricia Richmond.
Martasia Richmond, a black trans woman, was killed in Chicago, Illinois on July 11th. She was 30 years old.
Kitty Monroe.
Kitty Monroe, a black trans woman, was killed in Cordova, Tennessee on June 29th.
Shamea Giselle Marie
Joanne Giselle Marie, a black trans woman, was killed in Gulfport, Michigan on June 21st. She was 27 years old.
Brazil Johnson
Brazil Johnson, a black trans woman, was killed in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on June 15th. She was 28 years old.
Shanika Ilana Dior Hemingway.
Shanika Joella Dior Hemingway, a black trans woman, was killed in California, New York on May 31st. She was 30 years old.
Maddie Hoffman.
Maddie Hoffman, a trans woman who was born in Korea but raised in the U.S. by their adoptive family, was killed on May 19th in Malvern, Pennsylvania. She was 47 years old.
Sasha Mason.
Sasha Mason, a transgender Latina, was killed in Zebulon, North Carolina on May 13th. She was 45 years old.
Nidra, a black trans woman, was killed in Ocala, Florida on May 14th. She was 50 years old.
Ray Muscat. Fern Feather.
Fern Feather, a trans woman, was killed in Morristown, Vermont on April 12th. She was 29 years old.
Ariana Mitchell.
Ariana Mitchell, a black trans girl, was killed in Hampton, Virginia on April 2nd. She was 17 years old.
Did someone come up and help me with these panels? I mean, get some of these. Leah Love Parker.
Leah Love Parker, a black trans woman, was killed in Chester, Pennsylvania on April the 1st. She was 25 years old.
Kenyatta Keisha Webster.
Kenyatta Keisha Webster, a black transgender woman, was found killed in Jackson, Michigan on March 26th. She was 24 years old.
Catherine Katie Newhouse.
Catherine Katie Newhouse, an Asian American trans woman, was killed in Georgia on March 19th. She was 19 years old.
Tatiana LaBelle.
Tatiana LaBelle, a black transgender woman, was found killed in Chicago, Illinois on March 18th. She was 33 years old.
Let's see. Paloma Vasquez.
Paloma Vasquez, a transgender Latino, was killed in Houston, Texas on February 26th. She was 29 years old.
You have Ray Muscat.
I can do Ray Muscat.
Ray Muscat, a white trans man, was killed in Township, Michigan on May 8th. He is 24 years old.
Matthew Angelo Pinato.
Matthew Angelo Spampinato, a white trans man, was killed in Newcastle, Delaware on February 9th. He was 21 years old.
Does anyone have a knife or something straight if he's out? Naomi Skinner.
Naomi Skinner, a black transgender woman, was killed in Highland Park, Michigan on February 12th. She was 25 years old.
Cypress Ramos.
Cypress Ramos, a trans Latina, was found killed in Fort Rock, Texas on February 13th. She was 21 years old.
Dual Princess.
Dual Princess, a black trans woman, was killed in Jacksonville, Florida on January 3rd. She was 24 years old.
Maria Meyer Lee.
Mari Meyer, black transgender woman, was found dead in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in January. She was 24 years old.
Daniel David Ashton.
Daniel David Ashton, the white transgender man, was killed in Colorado Springs, Colorado on November 19th. He was 20 years old.
Kelly Lovey,
Helen Lovey, a white transgender woman, was killed in Colorado Springs, Colorado, on November 19th. She was 40 years old.
It takes a community to get things done. So now, lift up the name you carry in your own heart into the sacred place. You are invited to add the names of others to aloud or silently.
God, full of mercy, bless the souls of all who are in our hearts this Transgender Day of Remembrance. We call to mind today young and old, of every race, faith, and gender experience who have died by violence or by their own hand. We remember those who have died because they would not hide, or did not blend, or did blend, or stood too proud. Today we name them: the reluctant activist, the fiery hurler of heels, the warrior for quiet truth, the one whom no one really knew.
As many as we can name, there are thousands we cannot, and for whom no prayers have been said. We mourn their senseless deaths and give thanks for their lives, for their brief glow of each holy flame. We pray for the strength to carry on their legacy of vision, bravery, and love.
And as we remember them, we remember the thousands more who have taken their own lives. We pray for resolve to root out the injustice, ignorance, and cruelty that grows despair.
And we pray, God, that all those who perpetrate hate and violence will speedily come to understand that your creation has many faces, many genders, many holy expressions.
Meditation, one voice.
This is the sound of one voice, one spirit, one voice. The sound of one who makes a choice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of voices two. The sound of being seeming with you, helping each other to make it through. This is the sound of voices two.
This is the sound of voices three, singing together in harmony, surrendering to the two. This is the sound of voices three.
This is the sound of all of us, singing with love and the will to trust. Leave the rest behind, it will turn to dust. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of one voice, one people, one voice, a song for every one of us. This is the sound of one voice.
Blessed are they who have allowed their divine image to shine in the world. Blessed is God in whom no light is extinguished.
Remember all who are living.
Restore us, renew us, speak for our silence, continue our work, bless the breath of life, sing on the hidden patterns, weave the web of peace.
Let us go in peace, go making this great peace, and be the change you want to see in the world as we sing, we.
to come next door and let us gather and together and have memories of people we've lost or don't we've lost. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.